iPads are about to get, wait for it, great again. And I have 4 really good reasons for it that just might be big enough for you to hold off on buying an iPad right now. Starting with reason number 1, which has nothing to do with the amount of cash in your wallet or lack thereof, and everything to do with display technology, with the iPad lineup being on the cusp of the biggest display revolution in the history of the iPad. Yes, I'm talking about OLED display tech finally coming to the entire iPad lineup, starting with the iPad Air and the iPad Mini, according to a new leak from the Elec, just like we got on the new M4 iPad Pro, the same OLED that I conveniently used to make fun of back when we compared Apple's Mini LED iPad Pro display to Samsung's OLED. And no, it's not because I'm biased. I actually have a really good reason for it. Apple's OLED is just better. There you go, I said it. Sorry, Samsung fans. No, I'm kidding, but for real, Apple is actually using the most advanced and unique OLED display tech that has ever been created, called Tandem OLED, stacking 2 high-quality OLED panels on top of each other. So instead of a standard OLED display that you would find on an inferior Android tablet like the Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra, which has a ridiculously low brightness rating of only around 500 nits, while somehow claiming to show true HDR content, Apple's new Tandem OLED iPad Pro can now peak up to 1600 nits, which is just insane, with a super impressive 1000 nits of standard brightness across all the apps. I mean, just look at that, it's insane. And if you think this awesome Tandem OLED is coming to the iPad Air and the Mini, you are unfortunately wrong, because according to the leaks, as well as common sense, to be honest, the rest of the iPad lineup is only expecting to get OLED displays with a single panel, but don't worry, there will still be a massive improvement compared to the current LCD displays. And even though these new iPads are only gonna have a single OLED panel, you need to consider that Apple's M4 iPad Pro reaches a peak of 1600 nits, which means that one of those panels can hit 800 nits alone, which is much brighter than the current 500 nits on the iPad Air and the Mini. But the even bigger benefit is that you'll get perfect contrast with deep blacks thanks to how OLED works, where each pixel lights itself, compared to the previous Mini LED, which essentially uses the same LCD light panel tech, but simply splits it into a bunch of different zones, which unfortunately causes that annoying blooming effect when in the dark. But the new OLED, on the other hand, is gonna be perfect in every single way, including up to 800 nits of brightness. And now let's jump into reason number 2, which I'm super excited about: ProMotion 120 Hz refresh rate. Not on the iPad Pro, but now on the rest of the lineup. But first, I want to show you the best accessories you can buy for your iPad from our sponsor Pitaka. The Mag Easy Case 2 and the Mag Easy Stand, designed with Pitaka's aerospace-grade fusion weave aramid fiber, which makes the case very durable while being incredibly thin and light, considering the built-in magnet array being so thin that it still supports the Magic Keyboard for the M4 iPad Pro, which makes it perfect for switching to the super slim Mag Easy Folio 2, made with premium and protective PU leather for on-the-go use, offering 360-degree protection in both landscape and vertical viewing modes. And my favorite part about the Mag Easy case is that you can easily switch to a desktop setup using the Mag Easy Stand with strong magnetic force, allowing you to rotate your iPad between landscape and vertical modes, and giving you full angle adjustability. And you can even charge your iPhone or AirPods with the built-in wireless charging pad. So definitely order these Pitaka Mag Easy accessories for your iPad by using the links in the description and pinned comment below. Now, the reason I think it's coming to the entire iPad lineup, starting with the iPad Air, and then to the Mini, and then to the regular iPad, is because OLED uses new display tech, including the available LTPO, low temperature polycrystalline oxide, which is now cheap enough to bring to the less expensive products. Just look at all of the Android phones that have high refresh rate at cheap prices. And yes, Apple can also do this, but they have been waiting for the OLED displays to come out to make 120 Hz happen. And this is obviously going to be a massive upgrade for all of the other iPads that are limited to the current LCD 60 Hz displays that are pretty terrible. 120 Hz ProMotion is going to make them so much better. The only problem is that Apple likes to keep ProMotion tech exclusive to their iPad Pro models to get people to pay more money for them. But thankfully, we've had some leaks, including patents, pointing to Apple working on 240 Hz refresh rate ProMotion technology, which I believe will be coming to the iPad Pro first, since the original 120 Hz tech came to the 2017 iPad Pro first. So as soon as Apple brings 240 Hz to the iPad Pro, which I think could be as soon as the next iPad Pro update, we should be expecting 120 Hz to make it to the regular OLED iPads, which will finally fix the #1 problem that I have with non-Pro iPads. Now with that said, let's get into reason number 3, which is a brand new, never before seen iPad model that's coming around the same time as the OLED iPads, a new massive 18.8-inch foldable iPad. Yes, we've had rumors of Apple working on a huge, very large display model of the iPad for years, but we weren't really sure what was gonna happen, and it hasn't really gone anywhere. And the main reason is that it's gonna be way too massive to carry around with you in a bag. It's just way too huge. So how do you solve that problem? Well, you basically just fold it in half. And now I know an 18.8-inch display seems absolutely huge. It doesn't sound like it makes sense at all, but first of all, keep in mind the aspect ratio. If it has a really square aspect ratio, it's not gonna look that big, especially when you fold it in half. It'll probably end up being maybe even the same size as the current 13-inch iPad Pro, but of course it's gonna be twice as thick since you're gonna open it up. And this is actually gonna be a huge deal for artists or anybody who loves big displays. It's definitely gonna be a very, very unique iPad. Now, Ming-Chi Kuo actually leaked this a while back, and he considered it potentially being a MacBook, but in my honest opinion, it doesn't make sense to be a MacBook because you kind of need the keyboard for all of your Pro apps, and looking at all the evidence, it makes the most sense being a huge foldable iPad. And I personally think that Apple could call this the new iPad Ultra model, being above the iPad Pro. Yes, this one's still gonna stay in the lineup, and it's likely gonna be very, very expensive. Now, I'm not sure what chip's gonna go in there. I don't think it can handle, let's say, M4 Pro chip, because they have to make it thin enough to fold in half, so probably just a standard M chip. And with that said, let's get into reason number 4, which brings us back to the iPad Pro, but a new version. First of all, we had a huge leak that was supposed to come with the M4 iPad Pro, but it never did. And likely because Apple had enough reasons or upgrades with this M4 iPad Pro to make it really compelling, so they held off on this massive new feature until next time with the next iPad Pro. And that feature, I believe, is MagSafe reverse wireless charging. Yes, I know this sounds absolutely crazy, but Apple has had many different patents related to this feature, both for the iPad device itself, with Apple sometimes disguising it as being meant for the MacBook, but of course it makes no sense on a MacBook, much more sense on an iPad instead, and also with a new unreleased Magic Keyboard with a ton of patents showing a massive redesign, coming with 2 separate charging coils built in, which would essentially pass through the wireless charging from, let's say, a MagSafe puck to the back of the Magic Keyboard, through that and into the iPad Pro itself. So with that said, if you have an iPad that works just fine for right now, I would suggest waiting until 2026 when the new OLED iPads start to come out, likely with 120 Hz displays. Now, if you care about the whole foldable iPad or that MagSafe feature, then you should probably wait in terms of the Pro models as well. But if you don't really care about those features, then I would say the M4 iPad Pro is an absolutely killer upgrade and a great buy right now with that new amazing tandem OLED display. And it's gonna be good enough for the next 5, 6, 7 years, no problem. So if you want to pick that up for a great deal, I'll leave an Amazon link down below. So hopefully you enjoyed this video with these 4 reasons to wait on buying an iPad. And if you did, let me know your comments down below, and definitely subscribe and check out one of those 2 right there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.